Welcome to Sex Lies and Spray Tans.
Oh, yeah. Good to be here, I think.
Oh, you think? What are people's, you think, biggest misconceptions about you?
Still have a Google alert.
That
And
thing's
so
dangerous.
well, there's a couple episodes of the show that have come up.
How do you navigate, though, the challenges of like still being able to maintain your personal integrity through it all?
Every profession, there's an element of, do I support people sometimes that I'm not 100% with? Yeah, I mean, I've worked for probably 10 plus members of Congress. I haven't agreed with a single one of them. I don't think that there's a profession that you go into or a job where you go, God, I love everything about this. And I think that everything they do is 100% upstanding and ethical and commit. I mean, like,
more importantly, what motivated you to do Dancing with the Stars?
Actually, before I even left, I had been approached by them. Okay, I have no rhythm. Is this the first thing that I want to do? And the answer was no. For one, I thought it'd last a week. So I was like, this could be fun. I get to, go to LA, get to see what it's
Not
like.
Not you, Sean Spicer, with your competitiveness.
Right.
Come on, you knew deep down inside that that wasn't going to be the case.
So Dina had said to me, just remember, half the votes are the judges and the other half are from people. And I thought, okay, then I'm going to do everything I can to focus. I know I won't do well with the judges. I didn't know who any of them were.
So you weren't a fan of the show prior?
I wasn't not a fan. I wasn't really aware of it.
You really did your extensive research before signing up for this. Old partner, Tom DeLay, did you talk to him?
I didn't talk to Tom. I talked to Tucker Carlson.
What did Tucker Carlson say?
Tucker literally lasted one show.
He did a chair dance where he did absolutely nothing.
But I hadn't even known that.
Well, Tom DeLay would have lasted probably a lot longer if he didn't fracture both his feet. I'm not taking responsibility over that. But
once I realized that voter piece of it mattered, I ran it like a campaign. I literally was doing everything I can. I had an email list that I would send to you. Hey, thank you. I met with a bunch of TikTok influencers.
Stop it.
Oh, no kidding.
For the premiere, obviously, there was a lot of controversy with...
I'll Google that.
What was your feeling like behind this hard, I'm a go-getter? There's got to be a very emotional being, I would say, like we all are. We all have it. Did it affect you at all with the controversy, especially coming into a world where you weren't familiar with, and then with all of the backlash surrounding your, casting?
To be, as much as I might have been known in the world of politics, there's a lot of people who didn't know me. And all of a sudden, the first thing they know is like, hey, this guy's a total jerk and half of America doesn't like him. And here he is. And so I was like, oh, this is not going to go well. Like the dancing world, there's a lot of intimacy. And
very touchy.
And I'm like, okay, all these people are now like, is this the guy that we're not supposed to like? Thinking to myself, I don't even know your name yet. And you probably don't like me. So I had sat down with the folks and I said, this announcement's not going to go well. I want you to understand how the rollout's going to go. There's going to be a backlash. People are going to say, I can't believe you guys cast. So we had a lot of discussions ahead of time. The biggest fear I had initially was, I said, most of Hollywood and most of the entertainment industry are not particularly right-leaning. So I said to them, when the controversy comes, I need a commitment that ABC, Disney, et cetera, are not going to cut bait and say, we made a mistake in casting and we're letting him go. I don't need that. If you guys aren't going to stand by me, then let's just not do this. Let's call it a day. We go to our separate corners and no harm, no foul. I'm good with that. In fact, I had asked at one point, like, just think about this. Don't say yes. Oh, and they had said to me, well, we've had controversy in the past, Ryan Lochte and all this. And I said, no, this is going to be different. The world is very political right now. The country is and you're going to get blowback. And they came back and said, okay, we know, we got it. We've heard you. We've discussed it. We have your back. But I need to know that if I do move forward before we get into like exchanging paper, that there's a commitment that you guys really will stand by me. And then of course, that morning happened and that changed everything real quick. You've done this a million times. You go to GMA, you meet everybody. It's going really well. I'm a political kid from working class. I'm meeting. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's Lamar Odom. Holy shit, Flannery from The Office. It's like, for me, oh, this is cool. Look at these folks. Hey, we need to talk to you. And that's suddenly, and at the same time, one of the people that works with me looked at me and held the phone up and was like, Sean, you need to see this. And so they were all gathered in a conference room, the executive types. And the woman who works with me, like, before you walk into that room, you need to read this. I was like, oh my God, this is exactly what I knew. You know, it was sort of like, I expected the backlash from the Hollywood types, the TV critics or whatever. I was like, I didn't see this one coming. And there's interaction between Tom and I, joking about some, you know, Sean, this will be the biggest season. I mean, whatever it was some cute joke.
Yes.
And I'm like, okay, like I'll play along. Like, I get it. I'm a funny guy. Like I get it. I'll take my shots. And that's why I thought, okay, good. We just got through this. Now let's go do press. And we do press. And I kept thinking to myself, oh, I mean, I've been in this world doing media for decades. This press line, I'm like, oh God, this is going to, and we cruise through that.
What did you think was going to happen?
I don't know. But my point was, I was walking in, I can tell you, I mean, I know the political press corps pretty much like the back of my hand. I've never dealt with the Hollywood press corps. And all of a sudden they're like, this is so-and-so from Access Hollywood and people. And I'm like, what are they going to ask me? And so we get through with that. Boom, done. And then, like I said, we're sitting around like having, you know, cute little croissants and
having
pigs
a kiki.
Huh?
Having a kiki.
What's a kiki?
Meaning like,
I'm in this room and they're like, what do you want to do? He doesn't work for me, guys.
So with the executives in the room.
Yeah. So they pull me into this conference room and they're like, this happened. We were obviously unaware. I mean, because again, I had conversations with, this is not going to go well.
Right.
So they had said, don't worry. And so the first thing I'm like, okay, this is exactly what I said was going to happen. And this is your test. Are you actually going to have my back? I wanted to know, ABC execs, Disney's execs, you guys need to tell all of them that people are going to have boycotts and they're going to get pissed. Are we cool? Yep, 100%. Now I'm like, okay, this is where the test really comes out. Are you going to have my back? And I'm sitting in this room and I'm thinking to myself, oh boy, I don't know any of these people. They don't know me. The only one I know that I interacted with was Dina. These other people, the BBC people who actually own the rights or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know these people. And so I'm like, oh God. And there's a PR rep from every entity. Like, this is the Disney guy. This is the ABC person. She represents so-and-so and the studio and this person, you know. And I'm like, okay, they don't know me. There's probably a good chance what they do know, they don't like. And I'm like, okay, so this is where the hammer's going to come down. They're going to say, you know, Sean, we appreciate you trying, but we're just going to have to part ways.
But they've already announced you.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, this is not my world.
Right.
So to be honest with you, like I said, I don't give myself credit for a ton of stuff, but in this instance, I kicked into high gear and I said, okay, look, we got to kill this real quick. I didn't care about what people outside,
of course,
you know, the schoolyard thought. I cared about people in the schoolyard. I mean, I'd seen things on Twitter when we did press. You know, I could see tweets from other people. There was some showrunner from Grey's Anatomy that was like, I hate ABC for doing this. But I cared about the fact that how am I going to do a show? The guy who's hosting it says, I don't want you on it.
Like, what do you do with a situation that's so, in a way, uncomfortable?
I think Tom's a great host.
Yes.
I very publicly said this. You know, I think he should have stayed on the show. I think he did a good job. The first day at school, when you show up and you're walking through and and I'm thinking to myself, everyone's looking at me. You're the guy that we don't want here.
What was your first interaction with Tom then? Was it the premiere?
On the way to the actual dance floor.
Yes.
And I bumped into Tom on the way there. This is the first time we'd seen each other. And he just looked at me and he said, you know, I would have said the same thing if it was anyone else. And I looked at him, I'm like, okay. And just kept walking.
That is true.
Anyway.
No, go ahead.
There are people that have been on the show that, you know, I mean, let's face it, if you're going to have controversy, there are people that have, let's just say, committed crimes or been charged with things that
yes, absolutely.
I mean, and I'm like, so now your concern is me and accused of doing things to other human beings, to women, and like now you have outrage. Like, I'm sorry. And again, he has 100% right to his opinion. Like I said, I made it very clear that despite that, I think he's good at what he does and he should have remained. And when that
you don't think he should have been let go?
When I was asked my opinion by the executives.
Opinion of the execs, meaning
they said to me when I got brought into that room, it was, what do you want us, you know, what do we need to do?
Oh.
And we put that plan together and then executed it. But
and they executed it. They did per what was 100%. Supposed to be done.
Yep. And it was done well. They were fantastic. They kept their word.
Wow.
I think
So
they
you
were
basically went in there and did damage control. I mean, ahead of time, before the damage was done.
It was like, you know, I was like my own little client.
Wow.
I love the people. The experience was awesome.
Better than the White House, I'm assuming, right? Are you ready for rapid fire?
Yeah.
Thanks, Sean. If Trump were to do Dancing with the Stars, who do you think his pro partner should be? I'm retired. Don't even say it.
Oh, I've heard a couple of these before. I didn't think this is where you're going to start.
I have to say Trump is a fan. You know, I ran into him at the Meredith Vieira show decades ago. I'm not even kidding. And he literally barged into my dressing room and shook my hand and he goes, Cheryl, I'm a huge fan of Dancing with the Stars. I was like, oh, this is before he was president, obviously. Anyway.
But I looked at one of the people who works with me and I said, oh, I wonder if I should call the president. And she looks at me and she goes, he's tweeting. I called the White House operator and she said, Mr. Spicer, the president's waiting for you.
He's a closet dancer. You just know it.
Your partner has to understand your strengths and their weaknesses. And that was great about Lindsay, is that she was just like, okay, you're horrible. I need to be patient. And she just, there was never, ever a moment where she got frustrated. She'd be like, okay, why don't we do that again? It was like talking to a 4-year-old. Put the
Thank God
down.
Thank God I wasn't your partner. Okay, so if you and Trump competed on the show against one another, who do you think would win the coveted mirror ball trophy?
I think I could do better with the judges, but he would do better with the votes.
You think you could do better with the judges?
Have you seen? He does this. He'll kill at me on the votes, but I think this would be where I finally could get Bruno to say something nice.
A leg up, no pun intended. Do you believe they should continue to cast politicians? Actually, really sad you didn't wear your ruffled shirt for this interview. How dare you?
It's chilly. It's too chilly.
That's what pasties are for. Favorite judge? Last one. If Tom Bergeron is listening to this episode, what would you like? Any words for him? What would you like to say to him? Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Cheryl.